Laura McBride and welcome to my steampunk inspired workshop. In this workshop I'm going to show you how to create some beautiful steampunk inspired designs using inks and gel polish. I really hope you enjoy it, so let's get started. Welcome to my steampunk inspired workshop. So I have already prepared my nail tips, and on these tips I have used Acorn from the core collection of Get Nailed by Laura McBride, and I have done 2 coats of that, and then I have gone in with Material Girl, which is my matte top coat again from Get Nailed by Laura McBride. So we have got this really nice now matte surface to be able to work on. So I'm just going to grab this tip, and I'm also going to be going in and using my inks. So I'm just going to pop these down. So this is a yellow, okay, and then I've also got a red. So I'm going to put these inks quite close together because I want this merge to happen. Okay, and then I've also got a purple, which is going to add a little more depth and dimension to this nail, and this nail is going to be all about the depth. Okay, so we want to be able to create depth within the nail, so you've got different layers going on. So the first thing I'm going to do is go in, and this is going to be all over this nail. I'm going to go in with my brush and just pop on my yellow. So I'm going to wipe off on a lint-free pad that yellow ink out of my brush, and then I'm going to go in with the red and start to blend these colours on the nail into one another. So we want like a rusty effect to this nail. And then I've also got a clear ink. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to act as a blending, blooming medium for my inks. So I'm just going to go into areas that seem a little bit too harsh and just tap this clear onto it. Now, if you don't have inks, you can go in and create a marble with a gel polish. That would work in exactly the same way and help to create that depth. So any areas that need filling out, I'm just going in, as well as any areas that are too harsh. We don't want any, like here, you've got that hard line. You don't really want that to be too hard. Okay, so we've now created this like burnished marble look. And now I'm going to go in with my purple. And even though this is purple, it's just going to create slightly darker areas, which is what we want. So this is where we are starting to create depth on this nail. Okay, now obviously if we were doing this on a client, you'd be making sure that you didn't have any contact with their skin or their cuticle area sidewalls, and we've already capped that free edge with our gel polish, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So again, I'm just going in with my clear and just softening out this purple like so. And then once you're happy with that, because this is air dry, again, if you were doing this on a client, by the time you had done all 10 nails, this will have air dried beautifully. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side just for the time being, and then we're going to go in and do the same on this nail, but we're not going to cover the entirety of the nail. So I'm just coming in and bringing that down and then coming up onto that free edge. Okay, and then again I'm going to pop a little bit of my clear down because, like I say, this does evaporate, so don't use too much product in one go because it will evaporate out and we don't want to waste our product. So I'm just crisping up that line just there, and then again going in and softening any areas that are a little bit too hard to create that mottled effect. And then again going in with my purple and creating that depth. And then if it's too hard, just wipe off the excess, go back into that clear and tap it out just to soften those areas that are a little bit too hard. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that down so it can air dry, and I'm going to go in with a base coat. So what this is going to do, this is all about the base. What this is going to do, it's going to give us an inhibition layer to be able to create even more depth onto this nail. Okay, so I'm just going to go in and do a nice even coat of our base coat. And again, if we were doing this on a client, you would steer well clear of their cuticle sidewalls and also capping that free edge. So that's going to go in the lamp for a cure. This one has now air dried and I'm going to do exactly the same. So again, go in with that really nice, smooth, even, consistent layer of base and then capping that free edge. So then that's going to go in the lamp for a full cure. And then what we're going to do, I'm just going to get rid of these inks on here. Tidy that up slightly. And obviously I'd recommend to use a palette, but my palette's quite reflective, so it doesn't make for good videos. So I'm just going to evaporate that out. And then I've got some gold leaf here, so I'm just going to grab a bit of gold leaf out, and all of this is working towards creating depth on this nail. Okay, so I've got two dotting tools here and I'm just going to start to shred my gold leaf. So we've got some larger parts and some smaller parts as well. And just shred it out so that you've got enough particles to be able to work with. If there's any larger parts still, just go in and break them up. Okay, so again with my brush, this has now had a full cure. So we've got that nice even consistent cure in our base coat, but we've still got that inhibition layer in there, which is perfect to be able to lay this leaf down into. Okay, so I'm just going to pick out areas. I don't want to pick up any pieces that are too big, and just bring them down the nail. And then just pushing them down into that inhibition tacky layer that we have got from our base coat. so that they're sitting nice and flat. We don't want anything that's too lumpy bumpy. Making sure we take it right to the edge of the nail. We don't want there to be any big gaps in between this. And there we go. So I'm just going to go through now and tap over my gold leaf, making sure that it's sitting really nice and flat. Okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this alternative French. So again, just going into that tacky layer, picking up my pieces of gold leaf, and this time I'm going to bring it down, okay? And again, just tapping it out, making sure that it is sitting nice and flat. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm just going to get rid of these gold leaf pieces, and we are going to start to use these. So these are little like watchmakers cogs, and they're all different shapes and sizes, and that's what I'm going to use to create our steampunk design. So I'm going to go in with my Gem Buddy, okay, and I'm going to use this as my glue to be able to stick these pieces down. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of my Gem Buddy and come down this area here. I don't need a lot, but just to give me that layer of stickiness, because these are metal, okay? So I'm going to go in with a large cog to begin with. Now these are flat, and we want to, obviously the surface of our nail is not flat, so we need to curve this. So I'm just going to go in with the end of my brush and push it on my finger so that we create a curve in our cog. I'm then going to pop it down, pick it up again with my brush and pop it into that Gem Buddy, and I'm just going to push it to make sure, and you can see there it's sitting really nice and flat now on that nail, okay? And I'm going to continue to do that. Smaller cogs don't necessarily need to be curved because they haven't got that much of surface area, but again, if they are slightly bigger, use the end of your brush just to curve them, pop them down, then pick them up again and pop them onto the nail, following that curve of the nail. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do that, picking out the cogs that I want. Again, just curving them when they need to be curved, picking them back up and popping them down, and then pushing them down into that Gem Buddy to make sure that they're nice and secure. I'm just going to pop one right on the end there. That one's going to need curving, so again, I'm just going to curve that. And pop it down into our gem buddy. Now, while I've got that gem buddy here, I'm going to go in with my rose gold caviar beads, and I'm going to pop a bit of gem buddy down, pick up my caviar beads and roll them into my gem buddy. And then I'm going to pick them up and just place them in and around my cogs. Okay, so you most certainly don't have to pick them up one by one like we would if we were doing crystal placement. And I think the rose gold adds a really nice contrast, but be careful not to have too thick a layer. So you only want them to be one caviar bead deep. You don't want them to be sat on top of one another. So again, just going in to any areas that you feel needs them. You could be quite random, you don't have to be really precise about this. Okay, so again, we're just adding interest to this nail. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a little bit of gingerbread. This is from the Opulence collection. And I'm just going to pop a little bit down. And I'm just going to use this as a glitter, just to add a little bit of interest around my cogs. Just to highlight and low light certain areas. You can go inside of the cogs and then bringing that round, tapping it out so it's not so harsh. And you can see again how that's created depth. So I'm going to pop that in the lamp, and that's going to go in for a full cure. And while that one's curing, we are going to do our alternative French in exactly the same way. Okay, so again, I'm going to pick up my gem buddy, but I want these cogs to be coming up towards this French line. Okay, so again, I'm going to start with my larger cog. I've got two stuck together there. I'm going to pick it up, curve it, pop it down, pick it up again, and then pop it onto the nail. And I quite like the overhang from this French with the cogs. Okay. So again, just going in, popping them down, and then once you're happy, I'm going to pop just one more in here and overlap that ever so slightly. Then again, I'm going to go in with my caviar beads. So I'm just going to pick up a few more and pop them in where I want them, making sure that they're only one caviar bead deep. Okay, and you'll see why in a moment. See why that's quite important to follow that rule. So once you're happy with your caviar bead placement, again, I'm going to go into that gingerbread and just give it a little bit more depth into that area. Okay, and then that's going to go in for a full cure. Now, if you're doing showpieces, then you could absolutely leave this lumpy bumpy like this on the nail, because they don't have to live with it in everyday life. But if you're doing this on a client, you need to try and make sure that you're creating that smooth surface, because these are going to obviously catch because they are metal and you don't really want that to happen. So I'm going to go in with I'd Rather Be Shiny, which is just a normal gel top coat. And I'm going to do 2 coats of this on top of all of our cogs and our caviar beads. Okay, so you can see I'm being quite liberal with it, and obviously if you were doing this on a client, you would need to be super careful of their cuticles and side walls. And I'm making sure I'm getting into all those nooks and crannies and divots that have been created by our caviar beads and our cogs. Okay, that's now going to go in for a full cure. Now, if you're a gel tech, there is no reason why you couldn't encapsulate this in a builder gel, but I want to show you how you can create that really smooth finish just using normal gel polish. Okay, so again, going in, filling in all those nooks and crannies, making sure that you have got every cog and caviar bead covered. Okay, and then that again is going to go in the lamp for a full cure. Okay, so our first nail has now come out from a full cure, and I'm going to go in with another layer of normal top coat. So this is I'd Rather Be Shiny, again all over our caviar beads and cogs, and you will see it start to smooth itself out, which is exactly what we want it to do. So again, making sure, and you can see I'm being quite liberal with it, so I'm quite confident in the top coat that I'm using. So this is from my range, that you don't get that exothermic reaction when it goes into the lamp. So you're not going to get that heat spike. With some top coats, you do get that heat spike, so just be aware of that, okay? So again, that's going to go in the lamp for a full cure. I'm going to do exactly the same again on the second nail. And again, just go, make sure that you're covering all of those cogs. And then I'm just going to smooth this area out here. Getting that nice smooth surface. Okay, then into the lamp for a cure. And then what we're going to do, once we have cured these nails, we're going to go in with a file and file them. So I have got a 100-180 grit file here, and I'm just going to really lightly go over the surface of this nail just to even it out, okay? So this top coat files like butter, so be really careful. All we want to do is even it out. So I'm starting in the area that hasn't got any cogs and then going over. And if you come across a caviar bead that is sticking up, don't worry. just file it to make it nice and even, okay? Now, I would not recommend to go in with your e-file with this because it may well generate too much heat, which you don't want because these are metal elements. So we've protected the nail by doing our base colour, but the metal will retain the heat. So if we're using an e-file, even the lightest of touch is going to generate heat in those metal particles, and you really don't want that to then transfer onto the client's nail bed because it will burn them. So I'm just going in with my file, evening out that surface as much as I can because we want to make this really nice and smooth. You can see I'm not going in too hard. I'm just being really gentle. Okay, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with our alternative French. I'm just going to stick that down on the tip. There we go. And you can hear I'm hitting a caviar bead there, but don't worry because it does all add to the effect at the end. And that's why I always use a hand file for this, because you've got so much more control than if you were using an e-file as well. You can really control exactly where you're putting each of those strokes of your file, which is what you want. So again, just going over the nail, making sure that it's nice and smooth. And remember, this is just normal gel polish. This isn't a builder gel. You can encapsulate these cogs in exactly the same way in a builder gel or acrylic. And I am going to be doing a separate video for a acrylic steampunk nail as well. So make sure you look out for that. So I'm just going to dust this off now, and you can see I've got some quite heavy scratches in here. So I'm just going to go in with my white block and go all the way over it, just to remove those scratches and give myself a really nice even surface. I'm going to do the same on the other nail as well. You can see now we've got rid of those really harsh scratches and it's lovely and smooth. So again, I'm just going to dust off, make sure there's no debris or dust particles on the surface of that nail. And then again, I'm going to go in with I'd Rather Be Shiny and give this its final top coat. So again, making sure that you're steering clear of the client's cuticles and sidewalls and also capping that free edge. And you can see how the depth really pops with our caviar beads, our cogs, our inks, our gel polish and our foil as well. So I'm just going to pop that in the lamp again for a full cure. I'm going to do this second one. Again, steering clear of the cuticle sidewalls and capping that free edge. And you can see now how smooth this is. And it's all just gel polish. It's not builder gel. So even if you are just a gel polish tech, you can get that encapsulated look and feel to nails without having to worry about using your builder gel or acrylic. So again, that's going to go in the lamp for a full cure. So I'm just going to run over the products again that I've used. So I've used Acorn from Get Nailed by Laura McBride in the core collection. I've used a little bit of gingerbread. I also used Material Girl, which is our matte top coat. And the reason I used that for our ink application, because it gives a beautiful smooth surface to be able to put our inks onto. And then of course I have used I'd Rather Be Shiny, which is our no wipe shiny top coat. So we have also used our rose gold caviar beads. These are available at Crystal Parade. And to adhere those, we used our Gem Buddy and these fabulous little cogs and wheels. And then we also used as well our gold foil. Oh, and not forgetting our inks as well. So I've got the yellow, the purple, and the red, and also the clear. So that is our steampunk nails done. So you can see the depth and how smooth that is. But the depth that we've created is just absolutely stunning. And in different lights, you will see different elements. So you've got your caviar beads in there, you've got your little wheels, you've got your foil, and then that beautiful mottled background of our inks. And then we have done exactly the same on our alternative French. So we've got Acorn here, taking the limelight, and then you've got your detail within that alternative French. And you can see how the light catches those cogs in there. Super simple, but super effective, and all just using gel polish. So that completes this first part of our steampunk workshop, and I am going to be doing an acrylic encapsulated workshop later on, straight after this video. So as always, thank you so much for joining me, and that completes this workshop. So that completes part one of my steampunk inspired workshop. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure you click the like button, and if you want to see any future workshops, make sure you click that subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all soon.